States, or most of them are from England?
Majority United States.
Majority US.
Majority US. But they can be from anywhere. It's any.
But it wasn't must have an extra classroom in order to share.
School, not you. The school has to have an extra room for the teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, I'll have my door open. There are kids who I don't even teach, and they'll just come in my room and be like, "Hi, yes," and stare, and then they'll see what I have on the board, and they'll try reading it, and yeah, especially the younger ones, they'll act way more amazed, like, you know, who are you? Where are you from?
Yes.
They're very interested.
They're eager.
Yeah.
And curious.
Yes.
Really curious, which is fantastic.
Well, that's a good motivation, huh? It's a very good motivation for them to learn English, to be able to share with them.
Yeah, right away, my co-teacher said kids were speaking English to me that hadn't spoken all years.
Right. That the motivational part
Yeah,
is quite
there's
important.
definitely the motivation.
Yes.
Without a doubt, yeah.
Yeah.
Your own countries?
I can only think back from when I was a student because I haven't actually taught in classes before.
This is the first time you teach students.
Yeah.
But any of you have had experience?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends. I think kids are kids anywhere, but
Yeah.
a little less discipline here, for sure.
Less discipline?
Yeah. You know, more music playing, more cellular, phone talking, concierge. I do use it.
Generally, though, it's
Usually just to make a connection between words.
Just
You know,
one.
like
Yeah,
I'll write,
Right.
you know, preguntas equals
Yes.
questions. So, and then we'll go from there. But
Well, I can tell you that, for example, to be honest, I recognize I have some problems of discipline in class here in Chile. And when I was in the States, teaching in a high school in the north of the country, and I saw students were worse than my students here in Chile. For example, I still remember some students dancing and standing on the table and things like that. You just can imagine. I think it was terrible for me.
it just depends. I mean,
Even
it's
worse.
saying
Even
Yeah, I
worse.
think it
if
depends
it's
on
a
a
poor
lot of
neighborhood
things.
or a rich neighborhood, or if it's a
I don't
school
know.
that's really focused.
Maybe
or-
I can speak for like both of us, but I would say that the schools we went to were probably very different. Like it's like the teachers were, I don't know, like the students in general, like they weren't like that, like dancing on tables.
Yes, dancing on the tables, and they were belonging to a public school, the same public school I was teaching here at that time. It was public school too. Yeah, it was the same thing.
What percentage Spanish English do you use in your classes?
How much?
What's the ratio?
I use Spanish.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's very difficult for me to speak in English because students are not used to that.
Right.
So I have to teach my class in Spanish. With the better classes, I mean best students, I use a little more English, but not all the time.
But nowadays, as you know, grammar is put in aside. So we try to teach English from the context. So for students to to be comfortable or something, some vocabulary section you can explain by pictures and something like that. So I think it's going to be very clear for them to understand English and to be eager and to be more. How can I put it? Because they're quite reluctant. They're quite reluctant when you speak English.
Right. So more interactive lessons to make them more involved with the actual.
What kind of assessments do you do for the spoken component of your classes?
I don't do that.
Yeah.
I know most of my colleagues in high school, they don't evaluate oral production because there's no time for that. But sometimes I do it. For example, I give an oral task oral, and then I evaluate 1 or 2 students, for example. But just in my copybook, I write the marks. Then at the end of the term, I get an average of those marks and put on the book.
Yeah.
But it's very little assessment on that part.
How many times do you see the same class during the week?
What do you mean, the units?
I mean,
No, the same class.
In 5th and 6th.
Primary. Huh? Primary. Primary and secondary. Yeah.
From first
For 2
grade.
or 3 levels in the same room.
In the same room, so you will have first, second, and third grade
Because it's very small.
with one teacher. Yeah. Yeah.
I have 2 schools in that I teach in only one is classroom, 5th, 6th.
Why do you
Why
think
is
that
English
English is important
Many reasons.
for your students?
I think it's a tool to get another aims. I mean, if a person knows how to speak another language, in this case English, he or she can get another.
Knows English, and they enroll and they have to sit and take an exam, and then they get a certificate from.
Michigan University.
No. This is something like, sí, la Corfo. Yes. Corfo. Corfo gives you, that's Corporación de Fomento, yeah, de la Producción. They give you a certificate that you have a certain degree of, a certain level of English, yeah, certified by the government. So if you apply for a job, I'm going to invent, as a steel worker, but you have the Corfo certificate.
We get to do the same thing. There's
Yeah.
something called blue lots, right?
Yeah.
And you get to put it on your resume as a score of 1 to 5.
What is that?
Here in Chile, it's called the teens English or canned English, you know. It's not the rap. We do not speak with rapid speech, you know. It's quite different when you go abroad.
Yeah.
And you have to deal with that, the proper English.
I've been saying that New Zealand and Chile are very similar because in New Zealand we speak very fast with a lot of idiom. So I can't complain about not being able to understand Chileans speaking so fast in Spanish because I know that in New Zealand we're... In New Zealand, I don't know whether everyone knows, but we have a working holiday agreement with Chile. So that's the visa I'm here on. But I know so many Chilean people, or Chilean students who come over and spend a year in New Zealand.
I think what you're saying is changing because right now